What's up? What's good? What is happening? Welcome to the King and Me show. I'm one half of this thing, King.
Hey y'all, it's me, Michelle. How y'all doing?
Y'all, look, we have survived Philadelphia. We are back.
Oh my gosh. The fact that we even have to get in survival mode from Philadelphia is absolutely ridiculous, y'all.
We are home in our home state, and we are glad to be doing this live stream as nothing keeps us from trying to go live, except for certain things, which is going to happen next week.
Did you hit the record button? Because I know you said you wanted to
Yes.
record. Okay.
Thanks for backing me up, babe.
Look, the memory kicks in when it wants to kick in.
Thank you. Boom.
Props to us both.
All right. Here at the King and Me show, we offer a real outlook on a healthy relationship. Real being relatable,
entertaining,
accountable,
and loving.
So let's jump right into it. We normally start out with Let's Get Deep. It offers an icebreaker, deep, and a deeper question. And we've got a bonus question today that I thought we should ask each other.
What was I wearing when we first met?
You were wearing some, I don't know what you call it, like skin tight pink, no, not pink, like purple.
When we first met. So Ellie's house.
Oh, at Ellie's house.
Yeah.
You were wearing a Jamaican shirt with some more skin tight jean shorts.
Do all I wear is skin tight. Okay.
Which I love those jean shorts. And did you have on a necklace? I want to say you had on a necklace.
I had a Jamaican flag necklace.
You had the Jamaican flag necklace, yes. What did I have on when we first met?
You had on your Marvel comic shirt, which is how I knew I was going to love you, because it was Marvel and not DC. And I say that all the time, that had this been DC, we probably wouldn't be here right now. I don't know what you had down bottom, because I was focused on the top.
Bet. All right.
Sorry. I got distracted. I started looking in your eyes. Hey, baby. All right. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you pick?
Thailand.
Ooh, okay.
I already know your answer.
What's my answer, my love? Tell the people.
It's Greece.
It's Greece. Those Grecian waters, I swear they call out to me. And they're like, Michelle, come live here, please.
Let us know where you would live if you could live anywhere in the world independent of money.
Yeah, so if money weren't a factor, where in this United States of America would you live and why? We want to hear. Alrighty, the deeper. What 3 words would you use to describe moi?
Okay, this is easy. Because it's the 3 words that when people ask me about you, I often use these words. I think you're beautiful.
Aww.
I think you're smart, and I think you're kind. Like, your kindness stands out above really all of those other things. And it was one of the things that I found attractive about you. I could see that early on in meeting you and in our conversations and everything. I didn't get the impression that you were putting on the front because you liked what you saw from me and was like, I'm about to put on a mask and hook this dude. So to me, kindness can't be faked. Okay. Either you're a genuine kind person or you somebody that you're only kind to maybe your family or your loved ones. Mm-hmm. You're kind to everyone.
Until you get on my bad
side. Until they get on your bad side.
Look, I saw your bad.
But that's earned.
Yes.
That's earned.
Okay. All right. So the 3 words that I'm going to use to describe you are the 3 adjectives that I used in my Monday message post to you today. I said that you are gregarious. I said that you are genuine, and I said that you are gallant. And I stand by all 3 of those.
What does gallant mean? I didn't look that one up.
So gallant meaning, the gregarious was laughter. It's also pertaining to calmness and strength and brave in there.
Cool.
And chivalrous. So all of that rolled into one.
I like that. Thank you.
Of course. I love you, baby.
Okay, let's see who we got in the building. Shout out to Tarika. She said, good evening. And you know King, because He's in love. She says that the way that I look at you.
You do. Like, you look at me like you were in love with me, and there is nothing wrong with that.
Is it love or another L word?
Is the
Now, we have a bonus question. It's not a part of Let's Get Deep, but somebody created these questions where it says 3 brave questions to ask your partner. And one of the ones that I saw on here said, what is something you feel I haven't fully accepted about you?
Why do I always read that question wrong?
What is something that you feel
that I feel King has not fully accepted about me?
Mhm.
So what's something I feel that King Smith has not fully accepted about me? I would say I don't think you're getting better at it, but I don't think you fully accept or understand the way my mind works and how I see things and envision things and my rationale behind why I do things.
I agree.
And that's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
Just saying I don't think you fully understand or accept that yet.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I know that you do things for a reason. And to date, you have done things for a reason that is for the betterment of both of us. And I've been resistant to some things because it's different for me.
Yeah.
But you've demonstrated and shown that you're not malicious in your intent about anything that you're doing. So I trust that. Sometimes it takes me a minute to get on board.
Yeah.
But you're doing things that are looking out for both of us, and I can't be mad at that.
Okay.
So the question that you asking me, what is something that you feel as though I haven't fully accepted about you?
Or the other way around.
The other way around. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't believe that you can realize when I shift thoughts quickly. And I will go from here and be like, I don't want to do this no more, and go right to here, and I can leave that behind. I can leave it behind in essence, kind of temporarily, but when I make that shift, it's quick because I don't want to discuss it. I don't want to do whatever. I just want to just go. And when I make my mind up on going, I think that it causes you to pause for a second.
It does. So that's something that I think is really funny about the two of us. I prefer to eat waffles. Like, if I have to choose between waffles and pancakes, I want to eat waffles. You would choose a pancake. Yet when it comes to our thought processes and how we are able to process information, you process like a waffle because you will compartmentalize something and
Yes.
then move on to the next compartment. I can't. I process like a pancake. It's just all one big platform, and I'm just moving from here to there to there. And I think that's funny about us. I do.
Okay. So questions like that, y'all, is good, especially if you're getting to know somebody, to get into those kind of discussions. Like, that's not a first date question or thing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at taking a relationship towards a certain direction, you should be mindful about asking to understand how that person ticks, because they might tick in a certain way that isn't compatible with you, and that's okay. Plenty of fish in the sea. Just saying.
Oh, here you go.
Just saying. Okay. So before we get into our main topic today, let's acknowledge where we are live streaming. We are live streaming across multiple platforms: Twitch, Facebook, X, and YouTube.
Yeah.
If there's a like button on your platform, do us a favor, hit that like button. That helps us out on the algorithms. That's the algorithm. All right. And if you feel emboldened, share. We do this live stream every Monday to show that there's not just toxic people out there in the dating pool. Michelle and I have been in a relationship and have known each other for less than 2 years. One of the reasons why we're able to talk and communicate is that we've both focused on improving that amongst ourselves. And then we seek to have an understanding of the other person as well. We're not quick to just give up because I don't understand why they just don't get it, you know? So I think that we have a level of patience about things because we've worked on stuff ourselves, and I know you've worked on things and vice versa. So I think that that's one of the components as well that allows us to communicate effectively as we're learning each other still, is that we have that patience because we've worked on ourselves individually.
And I think it also comes from what we talked about last week. So last week we talked about, do you need to have gone through a bad relationship in order to appreciate a good relationship? The blessing is we've both been through bad relationships. So because we've had that time to go through bad relationships, see what it's like, what we definitely don't want, we're able to appreciate the beauty that we have within our current relationship. We know what to ask of one another. And like you said, we've also put in the self-work to improve.
Yep. Oh, and shout out to Perry Productions over on Facebook. He allows us to live stream to his platform as well, and we cannot thank him enough. So if you're watching this from Perry Productions, put some down in the comment section. Let us know that you're tapping in so we can give you a shout out as well.
Awesome.
Now, today's topic. Red pill people.
Red pill people. What is a red pill person?
I'm glad that you asked.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie The Matrix that came out a long time ago, what's the bald head black dude name?
Morpheus.
Morpheus offered Neo a choice. Mm-hmm. He offered him a red pill and he offered him a blue pill. And he said, if you take the blue pill, this simulation that we're in now ends, you'll go to sleep, you'll wake up, and everything will be as it was. Mm-hmm. Meaning you can be oblivious to everything that's going on around you and to you.
Okay.
You can keep on keeping on with the lies that you're being fed.
All right. Enjoy the lies.
Yep. Enjoy the lies.
Enjoy the lies. Okay.
Or you can be offered the red pill,
mm-hmm.
which he said, if you take that, we can explore and see how far down the rabbit hole goes.
Ooh, okay.
And what that has started to mean, there's many different political meanings and other things, but the way I interpret it mm-hmm. is that if you are somebody that has taken the red pill, that your eyes are essentially open to what's going on around you. You're an independent thinker, mm-hmm. and you don't allow the pressures of society to dictate how you choose to move, who you hang with, and things like that.
Okay.
Over the last maybe 5 years or so, there's been this talk about being a red pill man, and it more pertains to how men and women, kind of the gender dynamics of dating, mating, relationships, and things like that, that if you are a red pill man, you don't fall for the manipulations and tactics that women have gotten away with for generations.
Okay.
So when you and I first met, I was speaking like that. I'm like, man, I'm red pill aware. And I would say that without having any hesitation about what people thought about me when I said that. And I would be open to a dialogue about, well, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. Because myself and how I operated in the past, I subscribe to the stupid thing of happy wife, happy life. Ooh. Which is dumb.
And so it's so funny that you mentioned.
But that's a blue pill thing.
Oh, okay. So it's funny that you mentioned that because you know that reel that we posted that is still getting thousands of views a day. That reel, you did mention in there that you used to subscribe to the ideology that a happy wife is a happy life. And the only reason you subscribe to that is because no one told you otherwise when you were growing up. So you grew up under the guise and guidance that in order for your home to be peaceful, your wife had to be at peace. Not the husband had to be at peace, but that the wife had to be in peace. How do you feel about that now?
Oh, ain't no way. The way that I feel about it now is
Ain't no way.
in my subscription of things, and I look at it this way because even though you would hear people talk about how the Bible talks about the man being the head of the household and things like that, I'm more of the subscriber that, because I play team sports, you can only have one head coach,
Right.
And that the head coach gives the direction of how that team is going to function, or in certain organizations it could be the owner, right? I'm not going to call myself an owner in this relationship, but I am going to look at you and say I call myself the head coach in this relationship. That doesn't mean that I dictate everything that goes on, but it is my opinion that the head coach in the relationship should be the one that guides and, for the most part, makes the decisions and things in the shape of how that household and how that relationship is going to go, right? But a successful head coach has inputs from everybody that is on that team, not just the other head coaches, but the players and everybody else in the organization and things as well. That's how I look at it. So that's how I look at a relationship now. It's not a happy wife, happy life. It is more happy
spouse, happy house.
Happy spouse, happy house.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. If one of us is having static, it's not my job to cheer you up. That's how I look at it. If you're having static, it ain't my job to make you feel better. It's my job to understand what's going on in your life, right? It's my job to make sure that I don't dogpile into that then causes you to have more stress, which then makes the household more divided. It's my job to understand, help where I can, and on places that I can't, assist or guide towards resources that can help you out. Like, my therapist isn't anybody like can do has knows has a different understanding of me than you do, right? And I haven't seen my therapist in a while. Yet there's some things that, as if I were to talk to my therapist tomorrow about, I could bring up that they could help me gain an understanding that I might not know how to say that to you, but to my therapist, it'll be an easier thing to just bring up, talk about, navigate through, and get clarity on.
And just to kind of piggyback on that before I move to the next question that I have for you, just kind of piggyback on that, I think part of the reason why we don't tier happy spouse, happy house at all, pretty much, is because women lack a level of accountability. So if you try to say something to us that we don't agree with, what we'll do instead of addressing that or trying to work on that within ourselves, we will either deflect or we will come up with some myriad of excuses as to why XYZ happened instead of taking ownership for it and accountability. Mm-hmm. And that's something that's big to me because this is something I'm literally teaching my students to do. So I definitely need to be able to do it myself in a relationship, any type of relationship, professional, platonic, romantic, whatever. I need to be able to do this as well. And I don't know if a lot of women are doing this. A lot of women want to take that like backseat role in their lives, in their own life, and not accept ownership of things where ownership should be placed. And that's where we get the division and erosion that happens within a marriage and within a household.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, earlier we talked about something that you read, and it was sign language.
Oh, yeah. Someone posted on that same post about sign language, SIGN language. And I was like, and the way that they wrote it in like all caps and then had the dots after it meant that it stood for something. And I was like, what's sign language? So can you tell us what sign language is?
Sure. Now, the first time that I had heard of sign language is from a guy, he was a content creator called Kevin Samuels. He used the term sign language and broke it down as shame, insult, guilt trip, and the need to be right.
Ooh.
And primarily, he was saying that women, when they communicate, they will typically use sign language when talking to another man or somebody else, and instead of accepting that accountability for something that they might have been talking about at the time, right? So he was the one who, to me, I don't know if he created it, but certainly he popularized it.
Okay.
And being somebody that in my blue pill days, when I got hit with sign language, I would fall for it, right? So instead of addressing the thing that we were originally talking about, if you then hit me with guilting, now I'm more focused on that. I'm more focused on the guilting than what the main topic was. Or it might come to where you would insult me, and oh, now I got to defend that insult instead of sticking to the main thing of the topic that we're talking about. Now, in my red pill days, in my red pill era,
Ooh, okay, red pill era. All right.
I'm able to spot what sign language is and deflect that and dodge it like Neo did in the Matrix when all them bullets and stuff was flying. And that comes from really opening my eyes to how people employ and use sign language and the tactics behind it to dodge accountability for what they want to have deflected away from them. Now I'm a whole lot better at it. What up, Super C? He said, blue pilled and fried rice out. Extra problems. I wish I had a soundboard. Hey, Super C, I appreciate you popping in. He said, here to do my usual, which is great. He's here, he's supporting, he hit the like button, and then in 5 minutes, he might be out. I can't ask for anything more for anybody that chooses to watch us, but that's the homie. Shout out to Super C, man. I appreciate him tuning in.
All right. So that was, I think, my that was my first question.
Okay.
So red pill philosophy. Obviously, we know that a part of it came from the movie The Matrix, but who popularized it and made it into the concept that we see today as it pertains to men, as it pertains to dating, and throwing this in there, that sector of men that get the worst rap in the world, the passport bros? Like, are they separate? Are they together? Who popularized that? Where did we get all that from? Like, how did we get to them?
Wow. So that's a good question. I can't think of who really popularized the term red pill. I can tell you that there's a sector of a space called the manosphere. And the manosphere in certain circles gets a bad rep as well. Ooh. But essentially what the manosphere is it's a group of people, and it's not just men, it's men and women that talk about and focus more on men's topics and the men's side of things, and how certain sectors of people feel like men, while some people say men rule the world, they're saying, well, hey, make that apply to family courts, right? Men are going into family courts and losing an arm and a leg because of the people that they chose to say I do to.
I watched something, I don't know, because I was just scrolling through Facebook Reels yesterday, and I watched something, this divorce court, and it had to have been in the South, and I can only say that because of the accents, where this father has sole custody of a 17-year-old senior, right? And the mother came to family court to ask if she could get a reduction in the amount that she pays for child support. So apparently she pays everything, through CashApp, which seems really juvenile to me. But anyway, she pays all of her money through Cash App, and she pays $700 a month. And she wanted to know if she could get a reduction, because in addition to the $700 a month that she pays for child support, she also sends the son anywhere like upwards to $600 to his own Cash App for things like shoes and stuff like that, because she's a business owner and a designer, and all the things. And in this court session, it's the first time that the father is hearing about that extra money that's going to the son, because it came out that the son plays sport, And the judge was like, well, who pays for his athletic fees and stuff like that? And the father was like, I pay for it. And the mother was like, I send money too. I have CashApp receipts and everything. What I find interesting, it could have just been the way the clip was edited, was that the judge never asked for those receipts. She just went with what was said, but I digress. So at the end of the day, I thought that the judge was going to keep child support the way that it was. Now, again, it was originally $700 per month that the mother had to pay. The child, the particular state where they were, the law says the child support ends when the child is 18 or they graduate from high school, whichever one is later. So she was still on the hook until, whichever one came later. He was 17 and he was a senior. Well, the judge reduced the child support, the monthly child support, because the mother said that she gave extra money. Now, again, I don't know if there was a part that was edited out where the judge saw receipts of the extra money, but it did get reduced. It got reduced from $700 to $450 per month for that particular case. And I was feeling so happy when I started watching it because I was like, oh, the father got sole custody. And, the mother was in there and she was complaining that the father was engaged to a new woman and that there were other kids in the house and that she was tired of paying child support for the other kids and paying into that other household and stuff like that. And the man was so calm. And like, as I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is the epitome of happy wife, happy life, where you still feel like you have to keep your ex-wife happy. Or I don't think they were married, but I'm just going to say ex-wife. You still feel like you have to keep your ex-wife happy so that you can keep things peaceful.
Yes.
I'm against that. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not a man. I don't understand it, but my mind, you're learning this about me. I need to be able to understand things in order to understand things. So I don't get the logic behind, oh, I'm not with this person, but I can't just talk out the side of my neck because I have to keep them happy. I don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't comprehend that. Like, there's no place in my mind with all of my degrees that can understand that at all. Like, I just can't understand it. And that's what I saw from him. And I'm going to call it spade to spade. Sometimes I see that in other places.
Ooh, interesting.
I'm just saying, but like, I don't understand it. I don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
There was a question in the chat that now's a good time to answer because I want to make sure that we read the chat. Tarika asked if we still go to class. No, the class that we were in together
was ASL.
Was
yeah.
ASL. It was blocked off, and we are no longer in that class or the advanced one as it's already passed.
Yeah, we may come back in September, may or may not, but our schedules are really booked. And this summer, I wanted to have a summer, so I didn't take any summer classes.
And Super C said that judge needs to catch hands.
I'm telling you, at the beginning, like, if you had seen it, I should have sent it to you. I don't know why I did it. But if you had seen it, you would have thought that the judge was definitely going to rule in the favor of the father. And it really surprised me. Again, unless something was edited out or she got receipts and we just didn't see it, that she took the word of one person over another without seeing the facts. Mm-hmm. So without seeing said reports, because the dad was like, if the son is getting that, I know nothing about it. Like, if he's getting that extra money, it's going straight to the son's cash app. I know nothing about it. To which I'm like, but you don't notice that your son is coming home with like extra shoes every month? Like, if it really did happen, you don't notice that? And again, like, his demeanor was very much, I'm going to just grin and bear it because this kid is almost 18. This kid is about to graduate. I won't have to deal with her no more. And I think he said something to that effect after the judgment was ruled. Because, like, he's paying $350 a month for the health insurance for him and his son. And it was like this whole thing. And I'm just like, I am over this. Like, I'm over this. I'm not a parent. These are reasons why I couldn't have kids. Like, this is it right here encapsulated, because I feel like having kids ruins some relationships.
Yes, it does. We say, oh, you have a kid with somebody and it strengthens the relationship. No, my 2 cents is having kids will test a relationship wholeheartedly. I can't tell you the countless times with some of the different groups that I'm in where because I'm in different dad groups, right? Where dad offered dads other advice and things. Sometimes those guys are in there venting. More often than not, the stuff that they're venting or talking about is it's not about being a dad, but it's how the relationship with their kid's mother is impacting their overall life in general and how that will affect them and their fatherhood going forward, right? And a lot of the times, what I commonly see is men talk about how shortly after the kids, they see some postpartum that comes from the ladies. And on top of them working 12, 13-hour days, now they're coming home and being yelled at and said, told that they're not doing enough around the house. And it's like, that old Tyrese thing. What more do you want from me?
Well, so while you read that, what I would be curious to know, the statistics of marriages that end in divorce when there are no kids involved whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So not that the couple has kids together, not that mom has kids or dad has kids, independent of the marriage. I would be curious to know that out of every 100 couples that get married where there are no kids whatsoever, how many of them end in divorce? Like, I would be genuinely curious to know that.
Okay.
And then if they end in divorce, after how many years do they end in divorce?
Yes, I definitely curious about that one.
Because I am, you cannot tell me otherwise, but I wholly believe that children, as much of the blessing as they are, because the Bible says that children are a blessing and they are a gift, as much as they are, I think that's what leads to the majority of divorces. And then even if you look at a couple who may not have kids together, I think it's something pertaining to kids that may lead to divorce, like step parent issues that come in, biological parent issues that may come in this, new marriage, or even infertility, or maybe the loss of a child, or maybe a miscarriage, something like that. Taking all of those situations out, I wonder how many people who have no kids, how many of them end up in divorce?
Yeah. Yeah. You and I are going to have an episode where we talk about step parenting and things like that. Now, I see this comment here and I'm reading it. Shout out to Beth. I'm going to say shout out to Beth. It seems like Beth was critical of what you were saying, which is okay. We don't mind comments here on our channel. All right. But Beth, I appreciate you commenting. If you hadn't, please hit that like button for us. Help us out. She said, but disregard the first 5 words, couldn't edit it. That's cool. But I think Beth was critical about what you were saying. And it's okay. It's okay.
And here's the thing. This is the internet. You are more than welcome to comment. However, your ignorance should not cause you to misspeak or speak out of turn, because you probably had to watch the whole thing to understand the context of which I was speaking. But that's fine. That's neither here nor there.
Let's see. What else do we have here? That's all I see for questions. So, with red pill aware people.
Yes, because that was actually my next question.
Men more speak on saying that, right? Like, oh, no, I ain't gonna say speaking on. Like, people don't just walk around, I am a red pill man, right? But what you talked about with that court case, because of social media and things, it is my belief, and other people that have taken the red pill, that they're starting to see the effects of that. They're starting to see what could happen. And they're going, I don't want to be a part of that. If I want to, and I hate when people say leave a legacy. It's like, you not Walton. You're not a Zuckerberg.
No, like, you could leave a Smith legacy.
What kind of legacy are you going to leave? 5 generations from now, ain't nobody going to know who I am.
Don't say that. You don't know that. Like, Castle could do some wonderful things. She could repopulate, I don't know, a dying country. You don't know that. My therapist had a good talk with me about something that his father did, a legacy that was left behind.
Oh, my bad, Beth. She said, I'm not saying she doesn't have common sense. Hey, try to
Well,
do a
that's good,
live
because
stream
otherwise it would have been
and
rude.
reading at the same time. It is a skill. But no, hey, thanks for commenting. And if you got something to add, please definitely add, as well as we want to make sure to acknowledge the people that take the time to watch our live stream. But yeah, red pill aware men are starting to see the effects of what the family courts are doing, how people are being manipulated, and going, yeah, I'm not doing that, right? The every kiss begins with K, like the old K jurist thing. And it's like, who is that designed for? Like, I'm trying to think, it is a small percentage of men that is going to see that commercial and go, you know what? I'm gonna
I'm
go
going to
get
K
her
Jewelers.
some.
I'm going
Yeah,
to K.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go spend $3,000
which is stupid.
on a wedding band, on an engagement ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And start this whole ring of life. The engagement ring, the marriage ring, and then the suffering.
You sound like Coach. You sound like Coach.
Speaking of, you did ask me who started. I don't know where the philosophy started or who it came from. Where I got an understanding of it was this content creator who I follow, this guy, Coach Greg Adams. To me, he does very entertaining education or edutainment, as he says. And I heard of a lot of the terms red pill, blue pill, things like that from him. But even prior to him, there were other people that when you start Googling certain things, the internet feeds you certain people's content and stuff. And there were a couple other folks, Sandman, Alpha Male Strategies, uh, MTR, who's pretty popular on YouTube. And I would hear them talk about this stuff. And it's more about making more men aware. Because here's the thing, when you see a stove is hot, you know you can't touch that hot stove, otherwise it's going to burn you. That same simile is starting to be applied to how men are choosing to live their lives now. They're saying, I don't know if I want to get married because the things that I've worked hard for can be taken from me. One of the more popular counters to that is, well, choose right, vet properly. Okay, I can see you for who you are now, but who you are now isn't going to be who you are 8 years from now. And a lot of the red pill men aware are saying, yeah, I don't want to be a part of this. I'm out. There were other questions in there, and I think I answered that for the most part. Like I said,
did.
I don't know where it started, but I can tell you who I heard it from and kind of hone my philosophy on what that person would talk about. And Coach, he doesn't even use the terms as often as he used to because certain NGOs or non-government orgs have done research on people that use these philosophies and talking points and lump them into a not so nice category. So you have to be careful about how you even talk about this stuff, which is wild to me. Because what that's telling me is that you don't want people uh uh saying knowledge. You don't want men out here not buying engagement rings and marriage rings and spending gobs amount of money on weddings.
Why not?
No, I'm sorry. I'm saying it wrong. You don't want men to stop that.
No, but that is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Why do men need to continue? Like, why is that necessary?
That's what I'm saying.
Like, that is me legitimately asking, why is all of that necessary?
Yeah, I can't answer that because I'm on the side of it ain't necessary. And I think you and I are on the same page about that.
Like, I understand historically dowries were paid or, paid, and I get that. I do totally get that. I'm not knocking that in any way, shape, or form. I do not understand the concept of paying for an engagement ring. I don't understand the concept of paying for a wedding banned, because sometimes people will get so caught up in the symbolism of a ring and the representation of a ring that it matters more to them than the relationship itself. So I don't understand those things. I don't understand the concept of paying thousands and thousands of dollars for a one day event or thousands and thousands of dollars for a multi day event. I don't understand all of
Me
that.
neither.
Like, that is something that even if I had hordes of money just sitting around, I wouldn't understand spending all of that money for a wedding. Like, I'd still run to the courthouse with the same amount of efficiency. I just may have better tennis shoes as I'm running.
I watched a documentary about, it was a Muslim culture, and I can't think of what sector or what country that this is from, but this is something that's current now. So traditionally in, I think that, I don't want to misspeak. Traditionally, when people in the US talks about marriage, if it's two families, you typically hear about the man's side typically springing for the expenses of the wedding.
Mhm.
Is that my understanding of it?
Depends on the culture that you're looking at.
Okay.
In American culture, it's the bride's family
It's
that
the
bears
bride's
the
family.
weight.
Okay. Interesting.
But in other cultures, it is different. It is the opposite.
In this specific Muslim culture, they talked about it was more like arranged marriages,
Yeah.
and the bride's family paid the groom's family different things or whatnot
Dowries, essentially.
for the union
Mhm.
of that. And I said, yo, that's wild to me. So like, I have a daughter, right? And if my daughter was to get married in that culture, I'm having to come out of pockets to say, all right, my responsibility for raising this person is done. Your job.
Well, so that's the thing. In some cultures, it depends. In some cultures, it's, I have a daughter. Oh goodness, woe is me. I have 5 daughters. That's a lot of money, because in some cultures, if you have the daughter, you pay the dowry to the man, the groom's family, for your child. Whereas in other cultures, and I know it happens a lot in a lot of African cultures, that if there's a daughter, you're paid a dowry for your daughter. So I will give you this goat, these cows and everything like that for your daughter's hand in marriage. So it depends on the culture as far as that happens. And because it was sitting on my mind, I decided to do a Google search.
Okay.
And from what I'm seeing, is kind of torn. So there was something from the HuffPost article that states that childless couples, the divorce rate almost doubles of that with couples who have no children. But it was more speaking to essentially loneliness and weariness. So it appeared to me as though it's like those kids have left the home. So there were kids at one point, but for whatever reason, they're no longer in the home, that now like loneliness kicks in.
Yeah. And
However,
okay.
you scroll down further, and like Reddit was talking about something where it was kind of the other way around, that like couples that never had kids, they didn't have that same high divorce rate. And then I see something else from The Guardian that says, want to save your marriage, don't have kids. And it talks about relationships between spouses suffers once kids come along. So it's kind of torn. Like, I can't find anything conclusive.
Yeah. Well, part of it is, I forgot who said this recently, but they were talking about their marriage, and then they followed it up with, well, are you happily married?
Yeah.
Right? Because just because you are legally married to somebody does not mean that you are also happily married to somebody. And what some families are doing is they're staying together for the children. And then once the children leave the nest, then it's like, all right, cool. Look, we haven't loved each other for the last 6 years. Let's just separate and go do our own thing legally.
But see, unfortunately, that kind of falls under the statistic of a childless divorce, and it shouldn't. Like, I want to know the straight statistics for a couple that gets together and they have no kids, how long do they stay married versus a couple that gets together and there are kids involved in any capacity?
The first time that I was in family court was for my divorce. I was 34 years old. 34 years old, and that's the first time that I had entered a family court. Let me tell you, it is very eye-opening. For those of y'all that have never been to family court, when you walk in, it's not just you. You know, you don't have a judge or a magistrate that's ruling just for you and you're special. No, you will have other families in there that are also going through the divorce proceedings. And if you're first, you're lucky because you don't have to sit for the entire thing. Mm-hmm. But you have a time that you have to show up and be in there. And depending on where you fall during that time period, you get to hear other people's proceedings. Mm-hmm. And it's not a closed thing. I implore anybody that just wants to go see what family court is like. I think it should be mandatory before you graduate high school so that you can see the ugliness of choosing to do life with somebody and then that choice not working out for you.
But it's not so much the choosing to do life; it's choosing to have a child with that person. Because you don't end up in family. You don't end up in family court if you don't have kids.
You do if you marry that person.
So you end up in divorced. Family court for that. Like that's where divorces take place.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So divorces aren't a circuit court or like a civil court matter. It's family court.
Okay.
So it's a completely separate thing. And it doesn't have to be a judge. It could be a magistrate. Like that's who was over ours. And she was good about, saying what her position was and things like that. And I want to say we were fourth up, right? And other people had lawyers. Mm-hmm. My ex-wife and I didn't have lawyers, thank goodness. And we were able to work things out. And you could feel the tension between those couples that they were still angry at each other. You could feel that. Her and I weren't angry when we went through it. It was a weird feeling. Like we both walked out at the same time. She cried because I think it was hey, this thing is done and it hit her and she's emotional. Whereas I was kind of like, I'm glad we're here because now this legal thing isn't there. Not saying that I was pushing forward with it, but just like how I talked about earlier, where I can make a quick turn towards something. The moment that you tell me I don't make you happy, then why are we here? Mm-hmm. Why are we together? That's how I am now as a red pill guy. If you wake up tomorrow and say, King, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore, I'm going to say, all right, what are the things that we have that we're tied together with financially and things like that? Let's start separating that. Good luck in life. That's the way my brain works, though. But I implore anybody that's out there, go to family court before you get married. There should be a checklist of things that you should do before you get married. Going to family court is one of them. I think it is eye-opening.
Okay. So speaking of eye-opening,
all right.
Some critics argue that the red pill community promotes misogyny or negative views towards women in general. Like everything pertaining to red pill is like anti-women and all this other stuff. How do you respond to those critics and that criticism?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that there are certain sectors within anything that when you go too far, it can be viewed as extreme. Mm-hmm. There are certain people that, in my opinion, fall in that red pill sector that are really misogynist. Those aren't the people that I identify with.
Okay.
I think that if you want to have an understanding of what a person's philosophy is, you should be able to just ask them, right? And in general, if you were to talk to me, you would say King doesn't have a misogynist bone in his body, right?
Mhm.
That my philosophy, it revolves around the fairness of people in general. In this relationship, I say the train's going this way, and if you're not on that train, it is what it is. But in any sector or group of things, right? When you talk about politics, people will say far right leaning, far left leaning, right? You got those extremist views of things. There's going to be extremist views of certain sectors, but just to say somebody is red pill and automatically labeling that person as a misogynist would be mislabeling that individual.
Because, and I'm one who firmly believes that you can't speak in generalities about everyone, right? Like you can't say all women do or all men do.
Correct.
Or all Black people do or all white people do, because it's not everyone. We're not all the same people. We are all very unique. We all think differently. We all have different ideals that we live our lives by. So you can't speak in that level of generality about everyone. So I like that. I like that we can't say that all red pill men are misogynists, nor can we say it, because I'm going to keep coming back to it because I think it's also a very big hot topic thing. Excuse me, talking about the passport bros and the bad rap that they get so often. So I mentioned it earlier and just kind of like threw it in as another question, but I'm going to give it its own question.
Okay.
What are the passport bros? Like what is that? What's the symbolism and importance behind the passport bros, and why do they get such a bad rap?
All right. The passport bros really took prominence about 2 years ago, a little bit after COVID happened. And the passport bros, my definition, was a collective of men that said, hey, go travel the world and see other cultures and open your eyes to what the world has to offer. And that when you do that, you will realize that the BS that you've dealt with locally, you shouldn't have to put up with, right? And people would see that and hear that, and most people would say that it was based on women. And initially, I thought that there was some truth to that, but no, it's not just about how you're treated where you're at versus getting your passport and going to another country. It's about seeing how other cultures look at gender dynamics, right? And how other cultures handle and do life in general. There's a conversation now amongst the passport bros that they're saying, hey, I chose to leave the US for my health.
Yeah.
Meaning that they're seeing sectors of men that are also expatriates from the US that are going to countries like the Philippines, going to countries like Thailand, where I've been to both of those countries. It is vastly different from the US as far as the infrastructure and things like that. But in general, people are just happy, right?
Why? Why are they so happy?
They don't deal with westernized BS philosophies and thoughts, right? They're about family, they're about the unit, they're about just keeping your way of life as stress-free as possible. And the funny part about that is this: I think where we live in the US, we have way more opportunities. We have a lot more advancements in medicine and science and things and technology that some of these other countries don't have. Yet them fools living longer, way longer than we are. So what do you attribute that to? That's what the passport bros are talking about right now. And what they're saying is, wait, I'm working 50, 60 hours a week, making X amount of dollars, all to come home and be yelled at, or all to, barely be making it and things like that. But I can live here instead in this other country. I'm treated nice just walking out the door, right? There's a general genuine love of your fellow countrymen or a fellow human being in general. Everybody's nice and friendly. They'll, invite you over their house and cook a meal and share stories and crack jokes with you and things like that. And you're laughing more. You're living more. You're a little bit more active. And a lot of people that fall into the passport bros category are going, I want to be a part of that. And social media is helping open more eyes to that way of life. The people that are resistant to it are people that likely don't have a passport and have never left the confines of their city.
And so that's something that you and I were talking about earlier when we went out to brunch with my sis. We were talking about how some people have like this have high ignorance. So first of all, we as a culture have used the term ignorant so much that we don't realize that the word ignorance means lacking knowledge. So some people have a high level of ignorance simply because they've never explored, they've never seen anything outside of their own backyard. And I was talking about how some people felt that when I moved here, which is just an hour west of the city where I grew up, some people thought like I'd moved to another country or another state because it just seems so foreign to them. And you both were talking about your military experience and how you all came in contact with people who had never left their home state before, never seen people of color, and that type of thing. And I think that's kind of where it comes from, that people hate what they don't know or what they don't understand. We fear change so much that we hear the concept of passport bros, and it just seems like, oh, well, these men, they're going and they're gallivanting, and because I can't do it and because I can't understand it, I'm just going to hate on it. I'm going to bash it. I'm going to dismiss it. And the true issue is I can't conceptualize what's happening here. And I think that that's something that we need to work on as a people. We need to work on increasing our understanding, because knowledge is power. And B, we need to work on being able to appreciate that just because you do something and I can't doesn't mean I should hate on you for doing what you were able to do. And that's a big thing that we deal with in this country. People hating on other people because they're doing something that they are incapable or unwilling to do.
Exactly. Now, the guy who I'm renting from and I were just having a conversation about, for example, I, as a guy that's under 6 foot, walk into a space, and if I'm by myself, unless somebody really finds me attractive or whatnot and send me signals or whatever, I'm likely going to be ignored. And Sean, who's over 6 foot, even said the same thing, right?
About you or about him?
About him.
Okay.
Versus how people treat him in society here, and me as well, when you and I are together, or he's out with somebody and they see the person, that he's with, and the social dynamics of how we're viewed by other people when we're with somebody that's attractive versus when we're just by ourselves. I went to Colombia, and I always like saying like that, Colombia, a couple of years back. And I took a sneak mode trip. I ain't tell nobody. If I went missing, I think I did register with the State Department, so the State Department would have known. But I ain't tell nobody. I just dipped, and I went for a couple of days. To go back to gender dynamics, what I found just eye-opening immediately, no matter where I went, you saw choosing signals left and right. I saw people that looked like, without speaking English and without even saying a word, would let me know that they're attracted. Come talk to me, right? I also had those that came up to me, and I'm like, a whole new world. And for me, it was good to see, because let's face it, when you come out of a marriage, for me, it was like, well, this marriage ended. I need to know that I'm still desired. That's how I felt. I'm speaking for me in that front. Other men have also said that too. And it doesn't matter if they look like The Rock or whatever. You have that feeling of this relationship ended. Am I still a desired out there? And I wanted to see that. I didn't choose Colombia for that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to just get away. And a couple of people that I know that had been there had talked about just how nice it was. So I'm like, I could take 5 days and just go. So I did. And the and the way that I was treated and shown, it was eye-opening. So it got me thinking about, man, is it because I'm foreign to them that makes me attractive? Because when I come back and I land at the international airport back in the States, I'm not looked at how I'm looked at by them. You know what I'm saying?
I think Black men are better respected outside of this country than they are inside. Excuse me. Let me say that again to make sure microphones picked it up.
Please do.
I think Black men get more respect outside of this country than inside. I mean, there's also something that was said in the Bible that Jesus referenced that a man's hometown will be the number one place that doesn't recognize him or honor him or give him respect. And I would say that applies a lot to. He was talking about Nazareth because, like,
no, I'm sorry. There was a T-Pain. He was talking about how when he's back in his home, like he don't have like a key to the city or anything like that, but he's held concerts and he's done things, and he always bigs up his hometown. He goes, yet he's gotten zero, like up until recently, he had got no recognition for
I
it.
bet, because you continue to say that over and over again, and they're like, oh, maybe I should. But that's not, I don't consider that genuine, but that's neither here nor there. But Black men are not going to get as much respect in their own hometown and often by their own people as they will outside of this country.
I saw it in Colombia. I took another trip. I saw it there too. So it's
just look at it.
And it's a force multiplier, right? There are people that their first time traveling. Matter of fact, I can say this publicly because he talked about it publicly. Super C's first time leaving out the country was a couple of years ago. He went to Thailand, right? For as much as this fool likes to say he knows how our culture is, bro, it's different once you're on the ground. So stop with that, all right? Go get your passport stamped at another country. I'm trying to get him to go down to Central America or South America. He like, ain't nothing there for me. Like, bro, it's still a different culture. I already know what it's like. Shut up. No, you don't. But it's more people are starting to open other folks' eyes to just how things are. So they're encouraging people to take their passport and go to various places. Sean, the guy who I'm renting from, he travels often, right? He goes out the country on his channel, The Dating Game TDG. He went to Europe and various other countries and stuff over there and just kind of talked about how the scene was, how people treated him, and things like that. And for this topic, for this live stream, more passport bro red pill men are starting to weigh the options of not even just marriage, but being in a relationship in general. That's where this is going. I foresee that unless there's some type of catalyst where things change, you're going to see less married couples and more domestic relationships that then is going to force the laws to catch up to that.
Well, they did, and that they regressed. Because at one point you had common law marriages in pretty much a good portion of the states, and now you don't see that anymore. So there has to be some sort of change that's happening, because relationships don't look today like they did 10 years ago, 20
Correct.
years ago. There's so much change that has come along and come about.
So what else you got for me?
I mean, I have other questions. You know me. Like, I stay with the questions. I also stay losing the questions.
And if anybody in the chat has any questions, please put it out there. Let's talk about it. And especially, look, ladies, you're going to hear a lot more guys speaking up about this and having these type of thoughts and ideas. I encourage you to ask the questions. Try to have an understanding. Because if you're just bumping your head against, well, man, like why am I having issues with certain people? It could be that those certain people are just trash and you need to look at other areas. I'm gonna call this comedian out. I'm not gonna say his name, but I've asked him to come on and share his story. This fool has been ghosted 5 dates in a row. And one he showed the receipts for. And I'm like, we're grown. If you plan a date and commit to a date, you're free to change your mind. You are free to change your mind at any point. But to just not say anything completely is baffling. Now, what men are saying is that more of that kind of behavior is happening here in the West versus in the East or in the Caribbeans and some of these other places. I also want to be clear about something too. I'm not saying that passport bros and red pill men are saying that the things that they are bumping up their head against is happening just here.
Mm-hmm.
The natives of places in Europe, Asia, and all these other spots are also having very similar issues. It just seems to be way less frequent than it is here in the US.
I was going to ask that. Okay. So I had a question, and unfortunately, me being me, I did not write it down. But, here it is. Thank you. Is marriage in the future for red pill men? Like, is that something that could happen? Is how could one get to that part? Like,
So,
what would it take for a red pill man to get married?
so that is an excellent question. I think that if a lady is talking to a red pill aware man, for that red pill man to accept a marriage or go towards a marriage, he has weighed and calculated everything, right? So I think more red pill aware men or people that operate with a red pill philosophy and thought, they understand the risk associated with taking certain actions.
Right.
So they're not as quick to make that decision and get to a marriage. Is it impossible? Or is it that red pill men won't be married? No. There are people that have successful marriages that subscribe to this way of thinking and just understanding, and they have happy relationships. They have happy marriages. It's that a red pill aware man has that level of understanding about what it means to make that decision, and they've calculated everything and made the choice to move forward knowing what the risks are. Like I always say, and I've said it on a couple of different live streams where it's been relevant, I didn't get married to get divorced, right?
Right.
But in my opinion, I was in a blue pill mindset when I was in my young teens, because I got married at 20. And I don't have the same understanding that I have now, because if I did, there's no way that I could recommend anybody get married at 20. I don't think you know who you are at 20. You don't have a philosophy that you want to live by, and not having that kind of direction. If you can be with somebody that's willing to be patient, then that's great. But more often than not, it's just not going to work out because you don't know who you are.
I like that. That's very fair.
Tarika said, people fear what they don't understand, or they respect what they do understand.
And only what they understand.
And only what they understand. Exactly.
So I'm going to hit us with a little bit of history because I know we're at time. So I'm going to hit us with a little bit of history. But I'm going to ask it in the form of a question because I'm a teacher and this is what I do.
All right.
When was our first live stream? When did the King and Me get birthed?
Great question. October 2022.
Well,
No.
So
So
you're not wrong because that's when the King and Me happened. But when did our show happen?
I was talking to somebody about this and I wasn't quite sure when we had our first episode. I don't know. And if I were to throw something out there, maybe around spring of 23.
Okay, so I'll give you a redemption moment.
All right.
Can you remember what our first episode was about?
Nope.
Alrighty. Redemption mode. Redemption mode lost. All right, our first episode was June 12th, 2023.
Okay.
And our first episode talked about how Hinge brought us together.
Okay. Nice. Thanks for that. So June 12th, 2023, and we've had an episode or something released every Monday since.
Well, yes and no. So when we started on Thursdays, and I think we did Thursdays for like 2 weeks until I got accepted into that position that I knew was going to meet on Thursdays, and then we moved to Mondays. But yeah.
Man, hey, nice. I like it. Well, hey, this has been another episode of the King and Me show. Did you have anything else?
No, that was it for me. I think you hit a lot of good points. The greatest thing that I see is, number one, women, red pill is not going away. Passport bros are not going away. The concept of men needing more and it needing to have more of a say in their relationships is not going away, nor is it a bad thing. Like, that's biblically based. This whole thing of, I need to get BBLs, I need to have lashes longer than windshield wiper blades in order to get an attractive man. Like, ask men. They aren't asking for these things.
Nope.
You all are getting them to be able to impress one another, not to be able to impress the man. But we are at the point where we have to go back to the old way of thinking. I don't recall seeing anywhere in the Bible where men catered to women and their foolishness the way that some men are doing now. And there is nothing wrong with those men who are saying they're not going to cater to it. They're not going to tolerate it. So work on you. Learn how to love you. Body dysmorphia is a whole real thing where women are not happy with their body and they are changing their bodies in every which way. And then we do that here in America and wonder why men are leaving this country to get away from that drama. So focus on you, heal you, accept and understand that these men are just tired of our crap. I'm going to say crap. They're tired of our crap and they want peace in their home. It's not happy wife, happy life. It's happy spouse, happy house. Let's work to having both people in a relationship be happy and be at peace so that the entire home can benefit and be blessed.
And to the fellas, have a philosophy. Have something that you gon' stand on business, as they say, or stand on your square and not be knocked off from. Because at least if you have a philosophy, right? Have a operating set of values that you're known for, you can allow yourself to make decisions and things that are going to ensure that the direction of where you're trying to go won't be knocked off. The other person is going to know what your plan is. And I'm just going to say this, it is sometimes going to require effort because there may have to be some reinforcement of what those values are, right? For me, I value peace, quiet, and freedom. And I don't allow my daughter, Michelle, my job, or anybody to mess with that. There's this conversation that we had about we're always slaves to something. And while that's true, right? I'm a slave to my job. I'm a slave to my job because
yes, I love it.
I have to have I'm earning income to pay for the things that I have to pay for to survive, right? If that were to harm my peace in a way that is detrimental to my health, I don't believe that I would be hesitant to drop it in a heartbeat. It would be a difficult decision because that would mean a lifestyle change, but making a lifestyle change doesn't necessarily mean my life's done. Too many men are out here afraid to make that lifestyle change because it's not easy to do, right? But I'm gonna tell you right now, I've been at the bottom. Oh, have I been at the bottom? And being on the opposite side of bottom, at the mountaintop, so to speak, it's nice, but it wasn't easy to get here. All right, it took making some choices. It took having some sacrifices made. It took gaining a philosophy that I'm going to stand on my square on and sticking to that for me to find that peace, quiet, and freedom and understand what that meant for me, what that does for me, and why I place a high premium on that and I don't allow things to knock me off from that. So find your philosophy, fellas, and stick with it.
It's funny you said that because as you said that, I recall the exact year that I decided I was choosing my sanity over any and everything else. And as you were talking, I was like, okay, wait, I remember that. And then I was like, oh, snap. I see how that has aligned with every single job. I remember the guy's name. His name is Devin. It was a hidden in the closet type of thing, situationship. And I remember when I was finally able to break free, I muttered one prayer to God. I said, God, I wish him the best in everything that he does in life, but I never, ever want to see him again for the rest of my life. And when I tell you that God has hidden this man from me and hidden me from him so that I've never seen him in all of my times of going back to Baltimore, like I've never seen him. He don't even have a social media presence. Like that's how much God has kept his word on that. But it was in that moment that I realized that my sanity mattered more than anything else. And from that day on, I have always chosen my sanity. So when it came to a job, if I sensed any type of unrest or unruliness going on, Shell had to go. If it was a relationship, Shell had to go. Like I recall that very moment in 2005 when I made that decision.
Good deal. Nice. All right. Well, hey, y'all. Thanks for tuning in to another live stream of the King and Me show. Michelle is going to be on travel next week.
Hey, I'm going to Alabama. Send a fan. Literally, send fans.
Send a fan.
Send AC. Like, send all the cool, positive energy and air my way. My way. I packed my shorts, because I'm packed. All I have to do is add in my towel, my travel bonnet, and my travel pajamas, and then I'll be packed. But yeah, I'm pretty much packed. I am ready to go. And literally the only thing that I have in my suitcase are workout shorts that I just got from Amazon and a whole bunch of t-shirts that talk about like vote like your ancestors died for it and the opposite of poverty is justice and stuff like that. Like all of my EJI and freedom isn't free, Medgar Evers, all of my pro black people shirts. That's all I got packed in shorts. That's
no doubt.
Because it's hot.
And with that, because of that, we're going to have a pre-recorded episode. So we're not going to be live next Monday, but a video is going to come out, same bat time, same bat channel, Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be the step parent conversation.
Ooh, step parents.
So thanks for tuning in. If you hadn't hit that like button, hit that like button. If you have any questions that you want to put down in the comment section on any of the platforms, do that. We read all the comments literally between both of us. So don't be shy. We love to hear from people. We love to get people's inputs, and we value their inputs as well.
Yeah.
All right. If you're new to our show, we end our show a certain way. Last week you came to me.
I did.
Come to me again, because folks should see that dress.
All right, so hold on. Let me stand and show the dress. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Amazon!
All right, bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.